Welcome back. While the overall thrust of the India-US strategic partnership is likely to continue under Trump 2.0, let's do a deep dive on how some key issues may be handled differently. For starters, Trump's America First policy will likely steer the India-US relationship towards a more transactional and pragmatic engagement, which means emphasis on immediate benefits for the United States, particularly in trade, defense, immigration policies as well, potentially more military technology sharing. Trump has alluded to that. Joint exercises. There could be co-production agreements as well. America has been talking about that for a while, although India might face pressure to shoulder more of a regional security burden, for example, in the Asia-Pacific region. Trump's inclination towards higher tariffs and trade protectionism could strain US-India trade relations. There will be negotiations around tariffs, with the US possibly demanding better market access for American goods in India. India has been labeled as the tariff king, remember, by Trump in his first term. The trade issue could be one where India and America have issues. Stricter US immigration policies under Trump could impact the Indian diaspora, particularly in the tech sector. Restrictions on H-1B visas might intensify, though there are some who suggest that, in fact, that may not necessarily be the case. But if there are restrictions or there are changes in how H-1B visas work, it could impact Indian professionals and possibly lead to negotiations or retaliatory measures from India. What could those be? Who knows? With Trump's emphasis on countering China, the US-India partnership in the Quad is likely to be strengthened. In fact, Trump mentioned in his message that the Quad process would be strengthened, that there would be a Quad meeting as well. That would presumably mean that when the meeting happens in India, Trump might be here. While there is an opportunity for India to position ourselves as an alternative manufacturing hub to China, Trump's policies might also create economic instability, especially if trade wars escalate. India could face tariffs affecting sectors like IT, pharmaceuticals, and textiles. Well, joining us now, Raymond Vickery, former US Assistant Secretary of Commerce. Thanks, sir, very much for being with us. Let's talk about tariffs, shall we? Trump is pretty hardcore on that. He's absolutely clear on tariffs and how he believes that it has to be America first. We have a great relationship, India and the United States, but do you believe tariffs could be a sticking point?
Well, thanks very much for having me. I think tariffs certainly going to be a sticking point. Trump has shown so far that he views tariffs not just as an economic measure, but as a political measure for leverage. He's shown this already with Colombia. He's talked about it in regard to Mexico and Canada. So there's no reason to think that he is going to give India an exemption in regard to the use of tariffs to bludgeon people into his way of thinking. That having been said, we have a great relationship between the U.S. and India, regardless of whether it's Trump, Biden, Obama. There always seem to be plenty of hugs to go around from Modi, regardless of who's in the presidency. And one hopes that in the upcoming visit, there'll be a focus on peace and prosperity and how for these two great democracies to work together, rather than just beating up on tariffs or BRICS. As you know, he said put 100% tariff on BRICS, which includes India, if it doesn't go along with his views on what exchange measures should be. So yeah, it's a real problem. It's a different approach to the relations between the U.S. and India. But there's reason for hope that both with Modi and Trump, they want to see peace and prosperity built. And hopefully they'll move beyond just immediate advantage of one or the other.
Is China going to be, in a sense, the meeting area from a strategic standpoint? India has huge concerns with China. Some would suggest that America's principal rival or adversary, use whichever word you want, is China. Therefore, is the confluence of thinking between Washington and New Delhi essentially linked to Beijing?
Well, it's certainly true. We have geostrategic interest vis-a-vis China, which are very compatible. These two great democracies want to see a rule of law. They want to see a free and open Indo-Pacific, particularly in the maritime domain, and there's a lot in common. But India has to watch this because Trump has also talked about U.S.-China being able to resolve problems and not even mentioning India on world problems such as peace in Ukraine and economic matters, chips and so forth. So you have to always look at Trump as wanting to do what's best for him right now, and that means that you need to watch in terms of being able to secure the core interest of the United States and India in having a China which plays by the international rules. But it's true that there's a lot in common between the United States and India in regard to China.
All right, so thanks very much, Mr. Vikri, for speaking to us, sharing your thoughts on where this relationship is headed. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.